So my all-time favorite TV show growing up was Dragon Ball Z. And maybe you relate to that. I was just obsessed with Dragon Ball Z when I was younger. I'd rush home after school to watch this show every single day. And even late in my high school career, I would watch Dragon Ball Z clips before I trained to get pumped up. And it was just such a cool show and a really surprisingly deep show, actually, that has a lot of really valuable basketball lessons if you're willing to look at them. And one of the most interesting lessons that I noticed was with the Saiyans. Okay, so if you're familiar with Dragon Ball Z, the Saiyans are this warrior race that's extremely strong, and the main characters are Saiyans. And so the Saiyans, what made them so unique is not just that they were so strong. There were all of these other types of warriors, races of warriors in the galaxy that were very strong, but the Saiyans had this unique characteristic that the more you beat them up, the stronger they would get. Okay? And you would notice that even if a Saiyan lost in a battle, they would come back the next time and be so much stronger as a result of getting beaten up. And so it was almost like they became, in certain ways, unbeatable, because the more you hurt them, the stronger they got. And you would see in these big fights during the show that, one of the main characters, this Saiyan, like Goku or Vegeta, would get beaten up and beaten up and beaten up, and yet they'd get stronger and stronger and stronger. And finally, when their back was the most against the wall and they were about to lose, they would transcend and transform into a Super Saiyan or a Super Saiyan 2 or so on and so forth. So all of this probably sounds crazy if you've never seen the show before, but this next point is really, really valuable. Okay, so what this Saiyan race had was a quality called anti-fragile. Okay, they were anti-fragile. So anti-fragile is a term that was coined by a philosopher named Nassim Taleb. And when you're anti-fragile, what that means is that not only are you fragile or not fragile and not breakable, but anytime a force comes in to break you, not only can it not break you, but it actually makes you stronger. Okay, so in that way, you're beyond unbreakable because everything that tries to break you makes you stronger and stronger and stronger and harder and harder and harder to break. So how can you possibly beat something that's anti-fragile? Well, you can't, right? Because the more you try to beat it up, the stronger and stronger it gets. And this is what we saw not only in Dragon Ball Z, but we see with the greatest players in basketball history. The more challenging the experiences are that they go through, the stronger and stronger and stronger they get. And it's almost impossible to keep them down. You can't knock them down for any length of time, and definitely not for very long, because they'll just get back up and grow from that experience. So in deep game, this quality is so important that we call it the law of transformation. And this is law number 4 in the 8 laws of the deep game. The law of transformation states that the player who seeks growth advances faster than the player who seeks accomplishment. And this is essentially the philosophical underpinning of anti-fragility, right? If you're anti-fragile, the way to become anti-fragile, where you not only can't be broken, but you get stronger and stronger and stronger whenever something tries to break you, the way that you do that is to optimize for your growth rather than accomplishment. Now, in this way, so the reason that this works so well, actually, and we'll start there, the reason that this works so well is that the player who is seeking accomplishment and seeking, to score a certain number of points per game, to be the best player on their team, to prove somebody else wrong, right? All of these external accomplishments that many, many players drive towards. What makes you fragile, as soon as you start seeking those external accomplishments, you become fragile if you don't attain them, right? So the player who wanted to score 20 points per game but only scored 2 goes home feeling broken, right? Feeling completely broken and like their basketball dream is never going to come true and they're never going to get any better, and they are broken. And it's a very fragile mentality to take into the game because you're so vulnerable every single time you play if these things that you want to happen don't happen. On the flip side to that, if you approach the game from the perspective of I'm going to optimize for my growth rather than any external accomplishment, if you're always optimizing for growth, then you are completely unbreakable, because every single thing that happens over the course of the basketball or of a basketball game, and also over the course of your life, has growth opportunity. So there's always something that you can learn, that you can figure out, that you can add to your game, that you can add to your philosophical framework and the way that you approach the game, if you're optimizing for your growth. And in that way, you take on that like warrior Saiyan quality of anti-fragility, where you're anti-fragile. Not only can you not be broken, but every time something happens to you that might break another player, it actually just makes you stronger and stronger. And so in the long run, you literally can't be broken and you can't be stopped. Nothing can stop you, because every single thing that happens to you makes you stronger. This is a more important quality than your jump shot, your ball handling, your athleticism, any of those things. Anti-fragility and developing that law of transformation really deep in your system is one of the most important qualities that you can develop as a basketball player. And I don't want to make it seem like this is super easy to do, of course, but I will give you a simple technique that you can sort of be running at all times in your mind. And over time, this ability will grow stronger and stronger and stronger for you. And this is a technique that I reveal in Deep Game, and I'll go into it just briefly here. It's very simple, and we call it flipping the frame, okay? Flipping the frame. So anytime something happens to you that might be perceived as negative, something painful, challenging, something that you're suffering as a result of, let's say you had that game where you only wanted to score 20, you only scored 2. Now, not only, after that game, can you flip the frame instantly. So flipping the frame means a perception that you have of an experience as negative immediately gets flipped so that you're only looking at the positive. Okay, so after that game, you only score 2 points. You leave the gym thinking, I'm never going to be the player that I want to be. All of a sudden, you flip the frame and say, okay, what good came of this? What did I learn? What did I learn? And this habit of flipping the frame not only can be done after the game, but can be done throughout the game. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe the ball's not being swung your way. Maybe, your man scores on you, whatever. Any number of negative circumstances that can and will happen to every single player in basketball. You can instantly flip the frame, and rather than getting down on yourself during the game, just flip the frame and say, oh, well, what happened? What can I do differently? All right, let's go. Let's do that. And so it's this upward spiral that really cannot be stopped. Every single thing that happens, positive and negative, makes you stronger and stronger and stronger. And so this habit of flipping the frame, if you kind of run it like it's like an app that runs in the background of your phone to make it faster and more efficient. And truly, like when you're running this app at all times and you practice it consistently and flip the frame, flip the frame, flip the frame over and over and over and over and get better at it, you'll find that ultimately you no longer are even capable of seeing experiences as ultimately being negative. Yes, they may hurt initially, you may suffer a little bit as a result, and every player goes through that, of course, right? But ultimately, none of them can be negative because you're growing as a result of all of them. And so even if they're temporarily painful, as long as you're flipping the frame and growing as a result, nothing can keep you down. You become completely anti-fragile and unbreakable as a basketball player and as a human being. And of course, this is one of those techniques that can be taken into every aspect of your life and used in any which way. It's just one of those mental programs and frameworks that you can run all the time to have this upward cycle of growth continue in your life, in every aspect of your life. So I hope that's helpful for you. If you've never seen Dragon Ball Z, if you've never seen Dragon Ball Z yet, I apologize in advance for taking up the next 6 months of your life while you binge watch it. It's so good. And if you need more help with the law of transformation, go to deepgame.com, take the masterclass. There's a beautiful story, or actually quote from Kobe Bryant about the law of transformation and this anti-fragility that I think you're absolutely going to love. And there's also another technique in there that we call lead into gold that's really, really powerful. So go to deepgame.com, take the masterclass now, and I can't wait to see you there.